Hey everyone. So when we last left off, I was building a web page so that we can actually view the post that we create. We head to our code base here. We get server side props. Let's delete that. And this is just going to be called context. Okay, so within here, we've got post at map. All right, so let me explain the code base to you guys so that you understand. The first thing we want to start with is get server side props. Get server side props is essentially going to MongoDB. It's connecting to MongoDB. We're giving it the URI, which we provided from our .env environment, which we got from MongoDB. If we head over to our database, and then we head over to connect, and then you head over to driver, you'll get your MongoDB connection from there. Okay, so back to the code base. From there, we're connecting to MongoDB, then we're connecting to our database by giving it the database name and using client.connect. And now, since we have access to our database, we now want to access a particular collection within that database. So which collection do we want to access? Well, the collection we created here is called post. Access the post collection. Now, I want to actually save the post collection, right? So here is important. Once you have access to the post collection, you want to create another variable and await, because this might slow your code down, and we want to make sure that we have all of that 500 documents or 8,000 posts that are in there. And then we want to convert it to an array because it'll be JSON data. And sometimes JSON acts a little weird on the web browser, so we want to convert it to an array. Once we've converted it to an array, we're going to go ahead and give it to the props. So props, what's props going to equal? Well, props is going to equal post. Oh, what is post going to equal? Post is going to literally be a mapping of all the posts that we got from here. Now, why are we remapping it when it's already an array? The reason why we're doing that is because the ID is going to be in JSON form. So if we just wanted to keep it as a string, we can use the toString method. Title is going to be the post title. Content is going to be the post content, so on and so on. This post that we see here in the props is now given to us from this get server side props. That's why Next.js is so awesome. All of this logic's running before we even get to see this web page, and therefore we'll be able to see this data. So one thing I can do is any data that doesn't exist, I don't want it to give me an error, so I can go ahead and say, yeah, so let's just make sure that, let's just see if we get an error first before I try to change anything up. Let's head over to the web page and go to post. So we go to post. Okay, so we did in fact get an error. Undefined cannot be serialized using JSON. So let's see here. Okay, so we do have the post. Hey everyone. So when we last left off, we were attempting to create a post grid for all of the posts that we created. However, object ID within MongoDB was not serializable, so it was giving us an error. So what we want to do here is pretty simple. Right at the bottom here, we can just include this logic. And here we go. So we're going to map this out, okay? The post that we get from here. Once we get the actual post, we want to overwrite the ID. Now we can pass that in, and let's see if this fixes our issue. Wonderful. So we now see our application It has the post that we're looking for. We've got first post, great. Importance category, wonderful, right? Time and date, I don't see. Wonderful. Now let's go to our post component and make sure that, let's refresh. Excellent. So the ones that do have time, we do see the time here at the bottom. Why it's good to know just a little bit of CSS so you can play around with things like this. But basically, if I go to style here, say display flex, then we're going to say flex direction, and we'll set that to row. Okay, then we'll say justify content. We're going to say space between. Still more or less close to each other, so let me see, because they're in the same div here. Okay, so what I'll need to do is take this and put it in its own small tag. And let's see if that helps us out. Yes, it does. See, that looks a lot better. So that's the little CSS that you want to add. But for the most part, BOMA should more or less take care of everything we need. We have our first post, second post here. It even gives us the title again. And we'll be able to read data on there.